National Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Size Up by National Fire Radio, because what you do off the job matters. And I guess I'm doing something off the job that a lot of us do every now and again. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I highly suggest going to tune in on YouTube, or at least take a look at me in this episode at some point, because I'm back to growing in my mustache here. Much to the chagrin of Mrs. Pip, but the love of the mini Pips, who are not so mini anymore, but I'm still going to forever call them that. I mean, Finn has got me by, I think he's like 2 inches taller than me now, but don't let him know that. He likes to remind me of it, but the mustache is back. I'm even rocking the original Mustache Club shirt from Brent on episode, I think 52 or 53. He's right around there if you want to hear his story. And I don't know, sometimes I just want to grow a mustache, and it just happens to be November. This was not my plan. My plan was for when we went to Australia for this Christmas to catch up with Gerard and all my Aussie buddies. I'll have so much time off of work, I'm going to have a full beard by the time I come back from that trip to the other side of the world, and I figured I'd just leave the mustache. What had happened was I got the flu and was out of work for a bunch of shifts, so I had a beard and I just left the mustache to keep it going. So now we're moving on ahead. But anyway, that is enough about me. I want to get to my guest, because we were just talking really briefly off air, and it got to be a funny little bit of a topic about having kids, because I have kids, he has kids, and for anybody out there that has kids, you're going to get right into this one. But Steve Jasset, how are you today before we talk about our problems with our kids?
I'm doing great, brother. On my second day of my 4-day, just trying to get some stuff done this morning. I have a recruit graduation tonight. My daughter's got a wrestling match. I got to go help a buddy move up some furniture. So normal firefighter day off.
So what you do off the job truly does matter. Right.
Absolutely.
Then and there. So the episode's over now. We'll go to the Size Up 10. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're done. Like, that's it, right? You summed up my concept for this podcast in exactly what you said about your 4-day here.
Yep, every day. And if it's not a second job, it's helping somebody with something, or your kid's got a million things to do. Like you said, I got 2 kids. They do, one's in college now, but if it's not wrestling, band, dance, horseback riding, soccer, volleyball, whatever, it's something.
I love it because I do the same thing. Again, if you're listening, Steve's like looking off into the sky, like doing the list. Like I call it the fireman list that we do. Being Italian from New Jersey, I talk with my hands. So I also use my hands when I go down my list of like, what is Finn doing this week? Plays, music project, skateboarding, lacrosse. Like I have to go through that list because there's so many things that it's just how my day has to go, right?
Same. Like I'm originally from Boston, so Italian as well, and I did military police for a long time. So I do, when I'm talking to somebody, I'm usually same way, talking with my hands everywhere. I try to like keep them in my pockets or something like that, but it doesn't work.
Tracy tells me that all the time. She's like, you need to do something, but actually I shouldn't say that. She's actually gotten to just understand that it's going to happen at this point. But like they used to make fun of me, especially when the boys were little. They would just wave their hands around, because Tracy would be like, that's how daddy talks with his hands, right? Look at him go. And now they do the same thing. It's just the way we are. But I love that you snuck in there too, like help a friend, because I feel like that's something that we as helpers in our career are always doing on our time off, is helping someone in some way, right?
Oh, all the time. My wife usually has to wrangle me in a lot of times, because I'll be, we have that helper mentality. So somebody will need something, and you don't even ask. Most of the time, I'm terrible at communication. I won't even tell her. I'll just go do whatever I have to do. I remember during Florence, we had the New Bern flooded, and it was like, we did like 300 and some odd rescues over the 7 days of the flood. And, the time after that, a third of our city was underwater. So most of the guys would get off shift and go, demo houses or help people pull things out or something. And it was a good 2 weeks. I'd get off of work, put on my boots, and I'd go out and help. And finally she grabbed me and she sat me down. She's like, you're done. So you've done enough helping. So you're not going anywhere today. So she has to do that a lot.
That's definitely one of those things too. I don't know, like by me, we've had flooding incidents, and they seem to be more and more prevalent in the latter part of my career here. But it was never something I was prepared for. Like where it was like, you want to be a fireman, we're going to be a firefighter, and sometimes it rains a lot and we help people. Where you are in New Bern, was that a common, because you guys deal with a little more hurricane there than we do in New Jersey.
Yeah, so we do get a lot of hurricanes. We're towards the coast, but we also have two rivers that intersect right at New Bern. So we do have a lot of flooding. And I've been at New Bern 18 years now. I think it was 5, maybe 6 events where we had to come into work. I'm on the water rescue team and the USAR team, so I always have to man a boat, and I've gotten on the water a bunch of times. This past month, we just had to go out to Western North Carolina for Helene, and we had some flooding out there, and it was completely different. You know, when you're here, the water comes in and it stays for a little while, especially in the low areas. You know, we were out there and the flooding come down the mountain in about an hour, did all it was going to do, and then was gone. So it was really different, really different experience.
And that too, from knowing a lot of people on the teams from up here that went down
Mhm.
there and just in different places too, like how you just described it. It was a totally different type of weather event, let's call it,
Yeah.
or just that event, right? Where, you know, I guess you said it where I hadn't heard it, where the water left, but you still had all that massive destruction you had to get through, correct?
Yeah. So you know, we went out there as a water rescue team. Um, and for the first 7 days, we did not do one bit of water rescue. It was all land search, structural collapse type stuff, just mostly searching for folks. We had a lot of landslides, things like that. I think the 3 days we were in Chimney Rock, I hiked. One of the guys I was with, he had his watch on. It was like 31 miles in 3 days, just checking houses and looking for folks. And then the second 7 days, we got sent out. We had another team attached to us, or the second half of our team, and we were reclassified as a structural collapse team, and we did nothing but water stuff.
Never fails, man. They say, like the best laid plans, right? Like when you have these things, because again, being part of some of these extreme weather events now, you know, we planned for everything and none of it worked for us, I
Right.
don't think. You know, it all worked, but it all worked because, again, of that adaptability of folks like
Mhm.
us in the emergency services, where you're just going to pivot and kind of do what's right.
Yeah, so we just had some training. We have training for structural technical rescue once a month for the team guys, and we went through some scenarios with rope rescue and things like that. Somebody, you know, there was like a kind of a cliff area, you know, where we live, by a mining place, and somebody had fallen off, and we had to get them back up. We had to use all our tools and things like that. And you know, part of the debrief for me afterwards was like, listen, you know, we were just deployed for 14 days, and sometimes we'd be a mile or two away. There's no roads. We're using helicopters, things like that. Like, how would you do this whole scenario if you didn't have all this gear? You couldn't bring your truck up to where you're going to do it. Like, you know, we need to be thinking of that type event too. Like, what if you don't have your, you know, thousands of dollars of equipment and all your trucks? Like, it's just you and a buddy and maybe 100 feet of rope. What do you do then? How do you get that guy? You know, say you can't get a helicopter. You know,
Those are my favorite types of trainings. And I
Mhm.
we just did one yesterday where we did something totally different with our tripod, let's say the tripod that we have, and some rope,
Mhm.
where maybe you're not by the letter of the law supposed to do it this way. But at the same time, you know, I have some guys on my company that have, you know, over 15 years on, and then we have
Yep.
some guys that are like those 5, 7 year guys. We can all learn something from that type of a
Yeah.
training. You know, we can make sure that the younger guys are good with 4-to-1s and how to tie webbing and how to do
Mhm.
this, where those guys with that 15 to 20 year time, let's get them thinking. Like, let's get
Mhm.
way out of the box here, just in case you're in that situation where it's like, we got a piece of rope and a piece of webbing. What do we do?
Yeah.
How do we make this happen?
Yeah. Do it. Go. You know, there was one time, or one of the scenarios. There was 3 people. We had to go down. We found the first couple people. They were just dummies. First dummy was like 100 pounds. We just had to hike up the cliff. So threw him on my shoulder and walked him up. And Chief's like, hey, you know, how about we
Safety
use
line.
some
You
rope,
need a,
things like that? Like,
yeah.
I'm not playing your game, man. This is what I'm going to do in real life. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to pick them up if I can and carry them up. You know, it's hard to play pretend sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, if you want me to do something, put it on a postcard, stick it on the dummy.
Yeah, and
Otherwise, yeah, I'm
tell
gonna.
me what I have to do here,
Yeah.
right? Like the way that you, especially when you get to that, right? When you
Mhm.
get to that level of leadership where it's like, well, I wanted you to do this. Well, you
Yeah.
didn't tell me to do this.
Right.
Then You weren't here. I was. I made the call. It's like saying like we're gonna do RIT training, and we want the RIT team to go in and rescue the person. But if we're also doing other evolutions and someone's calling a mayday and I'm right next to them, I'm gonna do what I do in a fire. I'm gonna do my best to rescue them until the RIT team gets there. So you have to kind of have that little bit of a knowledge base to be like, no, this is how it's gonna be, or we're gonna do that, right? Adapt and overcome.
Yeah, we did some training several months ago. We got a new chief and he wanted to do something different. So all the captains, we had an officer meeting, all the captains went out and they were like, all right, you guys, all 4 of you are going to sit in the truck and we're going to do this drill. You guys pick where you want to sit. So it's 4 captains and you fill the 4 seats. And we just did a standard attack drill. And, afterwards, after we come back out, one of the chiefs like, hey, you had a whole mess out here with the hose line. Why didn't you fix it? I was like, that would have been the second or the backup team or the second due guys. Like, I'm not going to waste my time going in and out. Like, if you want me to do that, tell me. Otherwise, I'm going to do what I would normally do. I'd leave it to the next guys. They'll fix it. I'm going to do my job. So, I 100% agree, man.
It's that change. Like, we're doing our live burn this month at some point. And again, like, I can do my job, but I'd really like to take one of the people that are coming up to do my job and let them do my job while I can help them do my job in the environment that is protected, as opposed to just me and my normal guy doing the job. Like let's get those people up and kind of bring them up and do, I just wrote it down because I feel like we're already talking about it a lot, but like adapt and overcome. Like that is exactly what you guys had to do and everyone had to do in Western North Carolina a month ago or so.
Yeah, it was so different, man. Because again, you're walking and we're from the beach, we're up in the mountains trying to do all this stuff. And, you have water rescue boots or you have structural collapse boots with have the steel shank and the steel piece on top for crushing stuff. And you're trying to hike 30 something miles in them boots. You know what I mean? You have a pack on your back. You're 5 miles away or 4 miles away, wherever you're at. And you do have to carry a guy back. You know what I mean? And there was no communication out there, which was crazy, man. Like we have all this cool high-tech gear and electronics and radios and it didn't work. So, I called back for a helicopter one time and my TFL was like, Steve, best thing I can tell you to do is flag one down, so we did.
You just waved a lot. Like you built an SOS out of rocks and they found you too. Like,
the helicopter guy, the Coast Guard dropped a swimmer and he come out. He's like, you guys need help? I was like, yes.
How did you know? What gave that away, man? Yeah. You guys are the best, right? Like, and two, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if my North Carolina geography is not the best, but the East Coast is more than obviously beach. Then you go about how far to the mountains that you were in, like by hours, like how many hours away is that?
So where we were was right at 5-6 hours.
And on a normal day there, the communications probably suck, right? Like in those mountains, they're not great.
Yeah, it is because of all the mountains and the valleys and things like that. But because of the flooding, there was so many, like everything was taken out. The cell towers weren't working.
It made it even worse. Made like a bad situation worse.
Plus, we have the Viper radio system, and every single team, USAR team in the state, was deployed to the western part of the state. And then, folks back home turn the radio on, they're trying to listen on Viper, and they're clogging the whole system. So Viper was intermittent. We were using UHF just to talk to folks through line of sight. But if you go too far or up or down, like that doesn't work either. And the cell phones didn't work. So it was tough, man. I was on one of the boat teams, and I had my Viper radio, my VHF radio. I had my Sonim phone and my phone, and I'm trying to communicate with just anybody. so stuff you don't think about. Like, what do you do when none of that works?
We're not going to go too far down this road now, but you brought it up, so we're gonna dabble into your fitness end of life here, right? Because let's just start here with you're a really fit dude, and that's how I've known you all these years is through the fitness world, and you've done a lot of different things there. But when you looked at what you were doing on the team and what you're talking about now, you had to have that was the most epic fitness challenge ever in a way, right? And in your career, have you ever done more fitness, let's say at work? I don't know another way to say it. Your fitness you needed your fitness for this.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm not as fit as I once was, but
None of us are, buddy.
uh,
None of us are, but we're fit. We're fitter than we were. Isn't that like a country song? But it's not fit. It's like I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm
yep,
better or something.
exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
That's us.
But yeah, you did. You had to use it, man. I remember one time, we come down off the mountain. It was me and a younger guy that I was with. Pretty cool story. I used to drive for his dad. Now he drives for me, so it was pretty cool having him out
I love
there.
those stories.
But I got down off the back of the mountain, and we had been gone all day. And I laid in the middle of the road, took my boots off, took my shoes off. We had drank all our water, electrolytes, everything, and I just laid there. I was smoked. My feet were enormous. One of the guys comes up to me. He's like, "Oh," they were gross, But yeah, I needed. He's like, "What do you need?" I was like, "All the 5 liquids and fluids you can give me." You know what I mean? I'm smoked. And then we went back
And
out the next day and did it again.
and I think too that's one of the things that I know. Wildland firefighters have to do their pack test every year, and their fitness is a big part of what it is they do because they're used to those kind of marches, those long hikes and things. But on the teams, you guys you get to train every couple times a year, and unless
Yeah.
you're keeping your fitness on yourself, that's all you got.
Yeah, those wildland guys, man, they're impressive. One of the guys that does the world's strongest firefighter, Harry. I don't know if you've met him yet or talked to him. He's a super
Not
cool
yet.
dude. He was in the Marines, wildland guy. He still deploys and stuff, but he's one of the fittest dudes I think I've ever met. I mean, he'd post on Instagram like he'll be doing log carries and everything right out in his gear, doing wildland stuff. It's like, holy cow, dude! Like that's impressive, But fitness is so important because you're out there and you look back and you see who's not doing the hikes.
Yeah.
And it's usually the guys that aren't taking care of themselves as much as they should.
I mean, listen, I know a lot of guys on the teams that I don't think could do what you were just describing doing,
No.
not because they don't want to, but just because physically it's just beyond, and no one prepared for that, right? Like you're prepared for working in your area, let's say, and having your operational period, and it sounds like that just all went out the window. Just the topography of this situation put that all out the window.
Oh yeah, there was the first few days of any deployment or whatever, it's kind of like a little bit of organized chaos. Like there really isn't up times and down times or anything like that. You just do what you can until you can't anymore, until somebody gets in there and regulates and puts operational periods and things like that. So even the operational periods, you would get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. We have our briefing from FEMA. We come back, we brief our teams, we go out. By the time we clean up and get back and everything, sometimes it was 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. You fall asleep, clean your gear, fall asleep, do it again. So, a 12-hour operational period turns into 16, 20. You get a couple hours of sleep and do it again.
And just the workload, like just even so, when I had the flu, I was out like a solid 2 weeks of not being myself, let's say.
Yeah.
But on day like 5, I was feeling better. And I was feeling that like itch that like if I don't do something physical today, I'm really not going to make it. Like it's one of those like this is it for me because you know how you get that way. So I threw on a sweatshirt, I threw on a beanie, I threw my 20-pound vest on, and I got on that assault runner, and I just walked.
Ugh.
And I did a 5-mile walk, and it took me. My goal was under 90 minutes, and I made it. I was like 8
on the runner.
On the runner, just walking. Yeah. I had a podcast in my ear and I just went.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was also like, doing the sweat the demons out, like praying to anyone that you want to pray to, whatever you want to call them, to sweat this disgustingness out of my body. That was actually more of anything that I did was my own form of prayer to be like, please leave my body. But to think like, that was just to get you to the call. And that's what I think about a lot of the wildland folks, on the hand crews. That 5-mile pack walk is to get them to their work, and then they start have to work, right? So when you look at wildland dudes, and I'm excited that you told me about this guy Harry with the world's strongest firefighter, because now I'm kind of involved a bit in that, let's say. So it'd be cool to talk to him.
If you could get him on your podcast, I think he's a cool dude to hang out with. Like every time you see him, he's one of the nicest people you've ever met in your life, and he would be a great guest because he's done so much in his career. From the military to now the wildland, and plus the fitness stuff, he'd be a cool guest as well.
Well, I may know a guy. I may know a guy who's been on this podcast already that can make that happen. He can do the.
Oh
You don't
yeah,
even have to do the introduction. I
yeah,
think I got a guy
yeah.
that can take care of that. But
But
we'll
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about World's Strongest Firefighter later because I want to
Mhm.
jump back because again,
Sure.
I never do this right. Like I just go and we talk, and I think maybe that's why people like it. But whatever. I'm sure there's a script I'm not following somewhere. But when you get excited right now, you have a Southern accent, but you're from Boston. So how long were you in Boston, and where did that go? Let's go back to back in the day. Like, did you have the Boston accent or no?
Yeah. So I left Massachusetts when I was 17 or 18. I just turned 18. Um, so I lived there for the first half of my life, and then I joined the Marines. I was in the active duty for 4 years. I got deployed. Came back in 2003. I got out of the Marines, moved back home for about a year. Um, Wife got pregnant. We came back into the Marines on like active duty, special work kind of stuff. Then I got in the fire service, and I've been here ever since. So I've spent more time in North Carolina than I ever did in Massachusetts.
So
But
the
yeah, it comes
accent's
out
just
usually
got
when
it.
I'm excited or I'm having a couple drinks or something like that.
So Tracy is from Brooklyn. So when Tracy is angry, not the couple of drinks. When Tracy is angry, that Brooklyn comes out. But Brooklyn and New Jersey are pretty close. But like
Yeah.
even the boys know, like, oh, we're in trouble. Mommy's Brooklyn came out.
Well, it's funny. Kelly's family is from, half her family is from New York. They live in Wantagh, I think. And
Okay,
when
yeah.
those folks drink, oh, I can barely understand them. And they're the loudest people on the planet.
We are quite loud in this region of the country. Like we're very loud, we're very vocal. I can
Oh
easily
yeah,
say that. It is not
yeah.
North Carolina. Like, and I felt like so when I was traveling with 555 and doing more like teaching and more fitness type classes and whenever I was outside of New Jersey, I just reminded folks that like I am from New Jersey and I'm
Yeah.
very passionate and I may get loud and I may curse or cuss
Mm.
as you say. And if that offends someone, I'm really sorry. And if it goes too far, please stop me because I can reel it back. But I don't realize I'm doing it. It just flows.
Yeah, same thing. So I teach for the academy and stuff like that. I teach classes, and that's the first thing I say usually. And hopefully I didn't cuss or anything. Yeah, you have a tendency to, but I'm like,
I think we've been good.
apologize.
I think we've
Don't take
been good
offense.
so
Just
far.
how I mean, I was in the military for 16 years too, so like it just happens.
So your Marine time too, like 2003. You when you got deployed, you were overseas. I'm gonna
Yep,
imagine, not to go too far down that road, but like that was right around the time where everything was happening, kind of.
yep, yep. So let me see. I did all my schooling in North Carolina. Then I deployed to Japan for about a year. Did some little deployments over there, and then I came back and I was stationed in Cherry Point in North Carolina for the remainder of my time. And I was with the Second Lab Battalion, and we deployed in 2002 to 2003. We went overseas, and it was I didn't do what a lot of those guys did over there, but
Gotcha.
it was interesting. It was
No,
a
but
weird
that was
time.
still the time too, where like
Yeah,
we're around the same age. Where like when we were kind of like leaving high school, when I was leaving high school, nothing was happening. People were
yeah,
joining the military and going kind of to Japan and coming home, like almost like a trip. As
yeah.
opposed to post 9/11, where that changed for anyone that joined the military.
That was the recruiter's pitch back then too. Is like in '99, 2000, right before 9/11. So '99, 2000. Their pitch was come you see the world.
Yeah.
You can for free. You can go all over the place, and for the first half, I did. I went to Japan. I went to Norway, the mainland Japan, Okinawa, Thailand. I went everywhere, and it was a blast. And then 9/11 hit, and it was okay. During the time too, I recruited my brother. He came in a year later than me, and that dude went direct.
This is great. You should come and do this. And then it all
Yeah.
just changes. Like, and you're like,
Yep.
oh, that's not. And even now, like, you don't know for the military, like with having kids, I have my youngest son's or my oldest son's in high school now.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I don't want to push him to do that if that's what he wanted to do, but there is a different type of fear than my parents had for me, even though I didn't do it, but where like anything can happen and you can be anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. My kids, I have a 19 and a 16-year-old, and I'm trying to push them to go to school, get your education, get all that stuff out of the way. If you want to join the military, great, but let's do some stuff first. Um, It's
And it's
so
hard
hard
too
to
at
go to school
18.
later in your life. What you say?
But 18 is hard. It's just like being a firefighter. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I was a volunteer firefighter. I was an EMT at 16. I don't really know at this point in my life if that is a good idea. Like, should I have been doing and seeing what I was seeing at 16 years old, as opposed to being a little bit older and more mature?
Right. And I think that's honestly, it, I wouldn't say it's a problem in the fire service right now, but like for us, you only have to be 18
Yeah,
to get
same here.
hired. And, we have a guy that works for us now that, played high school sports with my son. And, like you said, he's seeing stuff right now that, man, I don't know that they're mature enough to, have they developed the tools and stuff to work through that yet? And I don't think so. I know grown adults that don't have the tools to process that stuff.
Yeah, it
I
really,
think it's
I want to say it depends
it's
on the
something in the fire
person.
service that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something, or at least needs to be looked at more. And I do feel like we're doing a better job of it where I am with more post-incident stress debriefings,
Yeah.
more, mental health counseling and things like that.
Mhm.
But I don't have that answer. I don't think we're going to solve that one on this episode of the Size Up either.
No, but I mean, I had I'm off today, but the crew this morning had an incident. A 2-month-old, had with cardiac arrest, and it was a rough call. And I texted every one of them. I called them, because I don't think that's done enough. How are you checking on your guys? Are you saying, hey, you good? I'm good. All right, we're good. Or are you talking to them? Are you checking them? Or what are you actually doing? I
Well,
think
that's
that's
a big
important.
difference too from when we started. Because I started right around the same time you did. We had that check-in right after. Hey, are you good?
Yeah.
And what no one knew, not knew or wanted to realize 20 years ago was, yeah, I'm going to say I'm good because my
Yeah, of course.
adrenaline is still jacked through the roof. So of
Yeah.
course I'm good.
Mhm.
It's 6 hours later when I go home, or when I take a nap and wake up, or
Mhm.
that night, or I have my first dream, that you
Yeah.
want to check back in with your folks to be like, hey, are you good? Like, for
Yeah.
real? Like, did you start to have anything?
Yeah. It definitely goes further than the tailboard talk. You know what I mean? It has to
Yeah.
go longer than that. The next day, a week later, I still check on guys that from calls we had years ago. Like we just to check in.
And it's always strange when you have those calls too, because I definitely had a call like that with a younger crew where
Mhm.
things went bad, or it was just a bad scene, and we still talk about it and
Yeah.
almost check in with each other without even realizing it, the four of us. And one guy was even off shift.
Yeah.
We're just working on like a swap, and even occasionally when we cross paths,
Mhm.
still checking in with each other. Like, and he's asking me if I'm okay. And we had some interesting like out of work ties to this whole incident because when you live where you work, you get all kinds of different tie-ins,
Yeah.
with people and things like that. So that's another thing that I always think about. Like, do we really want to push people to live here? Because then they have these different tie-ins now that I'm
Mhm.
looking at how things go when we talk about this that just make it even more different.
Yeah. We last year I had a crew that was pretty experienced. Me and my driver were at almost 18, 20-year mark. My backseat guy had about 10 years, and then we had a rookie. This year, I have my own station. I have 2 trucks, and other than the senior engineer, all my guys are less than 5 years. So out of 7 people, 5 of them are less than 5 years. And a
Yeah,
couple of them, 2 of them are less than 1 year.
it seems to be the constant theme in the
Yeah.
fire service. And for some reason now, like, listen, my department is at the highest staffing level we've been in forever.
Yeah.
But that means that 50% of the department has less than 10 years on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you could be in a spot where I worked. And so I'm going to date myself. I had 4 times the amount of years than the
Yeah.
3 people I was with in a
Yep.
company on a swap one day. And I'm like, then they brought up when they graduated high school. And I'm like, stop
Yeah.
talking, all of you. This is over with.
Yeah, I was off a couple weeks ago when I was in the mountains, and my engineer was running the crew, and all of them combined didn't have the same amount of years as he had.
Yeah, right? When you get those, or
Yeah.
I say this all the time, I look around and I'm like, ooh, I'm the oldest guy here. And then I think about the other stations we have and I'm like, oh, I'm the oldest guy out of everyone working today. Like, I'm hoping my boss is coming in to just be in his office because I'm like, he's old. He's older
Yeah.
than me. I'm not the oldest person around.
It's funny when you don't realize when that happens. You know what I mean?
Nope.
I mean,
Till it
I got
does,
called
till
the
it
new
slaps you.
guy for the first like 12 years of my career, and then I'm the old guy. I was out in the mountains this past couple weeks, and you're looking around, and all these FEMA USAR teams, they're massive. They got guys that are been on the team for 20, 30 years. We're doing our briefing in the morning with FEMA, and I look around, and these guys are like, they're ancient, man. They got to be 60 years old, all white hair and stuff. And I look at my TFL, and I was like, dude, are we the youngest people here? I'm 43, he's 40. It's like, holy crap, dude.
Go team.
We still have ways to go.
Yeah. Go team, man. Go team. I want to be the youngest person somewhere. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'll finally try out for TF1 just because I may be younger than some people. It's crazy. People ask me all the time, and they literally, like, I could be at the warehouse I think from my house, like 15 minutes or 20 minutes now, where I moved to. I'm even closer to that. I'm just like, I never did it. I don't know. I never applied.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to. I just never did it. Like so many other things.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot.
So you got out of the military. What drew you to the fire service? Because we do see a lot of that now, especially in that time frame that you were in the military and post. Loads of people coming out of the military and getting into the fire service.
The team environment, honestly. Like, when I was in the military, I did, I was a mechanic for a while. I did logistics for a while. And I did military police for about 4 years. I hated it, man. Hated every bit of it. Hated being by myself in a car. Hated the way people looked at you. Hated the way people treated you. You were there to help somebody, and they were pissed right off the bat because you were there. I hated every part of the job, and we'd get to work with the firefighters every now and then, and they were always laughing, always had a great time. There was always 4, 5, 6 of them, and that's what it was, man. And when I got out, I applied back in Boston, but it's so hard to get on there. Even being a veteran with residency.
I was going to say, you got some bonus points because I too applied in Boston. It was probably not the time you were applying, but a little bit before you applied. And there were so many extra ways to get points that I was like, I don't think I'll ever get a call for this place.
Yeah, me and my brother had all the same qualifications. He beat me by 1 point. He got a call, and I was like 60 people behind him. He beat me by 1 point. And
so
I was like,
in Boston?
I'm going back to North Carolina. I like it there anyway. So.
Did he take the job in Boston?
Tries to get on here.
He took the job though. Your brother took it in Boston.
No, he ended up working for NSTAR, being a lineman. Anyways, makes way more money.
But not a better schedule, probably though, and not as many layoffs.
Yeah, the schedule, especially storms. Like he'll go away for a storm and be gone for a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he'll make
definitely.
what I make in a year on a storm pay.
Yeah, easily on that one. So listen, everybody makes choices, right? Nothing wrong with yours. But I do love that again, everybody talks about that kind of team aspect, but you really correlated it well with saying like you didn't like being alone. You know what I mean? Like I love like when I act up on my car, if I don't have a driver and I'm alone in that car. Yeah. In the beginning, that was like I don't want to say this. It was really sad, but the hardest transition was like you jump back in the car and I go to say something to the person next to me and there's no one there. Or like I turned around to be like, cause you want to talk about what just happened to people. And you're like, I'm just going to talk to myself. Like I really should have put my phone in the front cause it would have been hysterical just watching me talk to myself about what just happened. Like I was on a crew.
And it's funny you say that cause we got some BC spots coming up in our department and, every now and then I'll have to ride up and ride in the seat and I hate it, man. Hate it. I like being on the truck. I love having my crew. I think captain's best spot in the fire service. I just don't know that that's the BC spot is where I want to be. Not right now in my career, anyways. You know what I mean? It's just
lonely.
It's a lonely spot. Even back at the house, like you're kind of by yourself.
Yeah, you're always working. Like, and I'm not trying to complain or anything like that too. But like there's always something happening that at your level you're sort of involved in. Whether it's at another house, another company, another shift, the phone. Now the joke has been when you're on the car and the phone rings, it's always for you. Yeah. Like the phone's always for me. Like you see it go on hold and I'm like, that's going to be for me. Like and occasionally it'll be for someone else, but it's always for you. And that loneliness, but the crew thing in the fire department is by far my favorite. Like I love being with the guys and in the truck and just doing that. And I do agree too. Captain, best job in the fire department. Ladder captain, nothing better than it. I love every minute of it. I
love it, man. I've been able to be on an engine for a while now, and I love engine work. I loved riding backwards, but riding that captain seat is great because you get so much more input on mentoring the next group of firefighters. Me and another captain, we talked when we were just firefighters, and it's like, we didn't like the way the department was going. This is a while back, and we figured the best thing we could do was start training the next group for when, if they ever get promoted, at least they know where they learned their stuff from, and they're learning it right. Because when
Yeah,
we
I
started, we
love
didn't
that
have
part of the
anybody
job.
teaching us anything.
I love that part of the job too, because, and I will say I had people teaching me
Mm-hmm.
things, and we still don't have like an official mentorship or official like training program, let's say, in my
Mm-hmm.
department. But I think we made that change too, because it's just the style of learners our generation was,
Mm-hmm.
and now adapting to this newer generation of learners, which is a totally different ballgame than we were, just like we were a totally different ballgame than the people before us.
Right.
Like where we need these folks, I feel like coming up more than even I did, need more mentorship and
Oh yeah.
more encouragement to do the things.
Well, we talk about it now, like trying to get some kind of program together with teaching some of the guys basic skills. That's something that we don't think about. We spend most of our time in the fire service. Well, at least we do. I mean, I'm sure you guys are busier than we are, but at the house, you know what I mean? And do they have basic housekeeping skills? We're getting folks 18, 19, 20 years old that don't know how to wash clothes. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to clean bathrooms. And it's up to you as a fire captain that's supposed to be doing fire stuff. Now I got to go teach a guy how to clean the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's
Which,
it. And so many academies too. Like we just not just started, but we've been running our own academy now, and that's part of it as housework.
yeah,
And when you see academies out west, they've been doing that for years, where
yeah,
like your classroom is your firehouse.
mm-hmm.
It gets cleaned every day, just like a
Yep,
firehouse. Even if you were here yesterday, it gets cleaned today.
mm-hmm.
And instilling those kind of things in them at an early on stage, and that has been hands down, I think, the best thing I've seen occur in my department is us running our own academies.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been running our own for a few years now, but ours runs a little different. It's not a full-time academy. It's a nighttime academy. They Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every other Saturday. It's like 6 to 10 at night, and it's all unpaid. So it's tough.
Yeah, that's really
I give
tough.
it to the guys that do it, because that's impressive to give that much time to something you're not getting paid for, and there's no guarantee you're getting a job either.
That's the hard part too. There's
Yeah.
no, like, I was going to ask you, like, so they get hired after this, right? But there's no
Not all of
guarantee.
them.
It's
I mean,
just
they
what they
do
do.
have a better opportunity to get hired. I know when I did my academy, there was 15 of us, and it was full time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we were hired, and they ran us through the academy, so it was great. But these guys, no, they don't get that. So, and they still have to do PT every time. We run the PT for them, and you got to think. It's tough to. You're teaching somebody PT and they're not doing what you're supposed to do. You have to remember that, like, they're doing this for free. They're on their own time, but at the same time, you have to have standards too. Like, or else what are you doing? You know, if you're not going to put in effort, like, go home. Like, I don't want you here, but you can't say that. You know what I mean?
I think in the 40 people, let's say, we've run through in our own academy, and the numbers around there, whether it's higher or lower. But when it comes to doing, because we also include PT every day, everyone from day one to day whatever their last day was had PT successes. And I'm like, that alone is proof positive that this works. That being physically fit or doing something physically with your body, whatever that is, at least every day. We do it every day, but you can cut it down a little, because again, there's been some folks that after the academy went right back into their old ways. And what are you going to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, I can't make you do it anymore, but you did have that success, so why not ride that wave and continue it?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to when you get one of those guys on your crew that you're trying to get some way to maintain whatever they were trying to do. I know for me, like, I have one guy in the academy. He's my rookie right now, and there's several things I make my crew do every day. Like, one of you will cook. You all will work out every day. You know what I mean? And we will eat together. It's non-negotiable. And he in the academy, we wrapped it up. We just finished the graduation tonight. But when they did their CPAT, he had the best time of the whole academy. But he has to work out every day, and then he has to do the academy stuff. So I mean, it's it's proof that it works.
It definitely is. And so that's a great, again, like I'm getting better as a podcast host at these segues and transitions, right? Because like it's a great way to just segue into, you actually owned a CrossFit gym for a fairly long time, right?
13 years.
What brought that on? Just, that needing something else to do, or it fell in your lap, or
Again, it goes back to trying to help people. So I started doing CrossFit. It was like 2011. I found a nonprofit gym that was on base, CrossFit Cherry Point. It was all volunteer coaches, but only people on base had access to it. And we'd have classes, man. We had 3 classes a day. There's like 30 folks in a class, especially on snatch day. Always had 30 people in there that didn't know anything. So it was awesome. But after about a year, I got my level 1 certification, and me and a buddy were like, we need to bring this to other people that can't get on base. So we started training people in his garage at his house. And then, we got to the point where we were training the cul-de-sac. We had 12, 15 people, and the homeowner association didn't like that very much. So we got it.
I was literally going to be like, did he have an HOA? Because the
Oh,
second
yeah.
you said cul-de-sac, that's where like, I don't have an HOA. I have a cul-de-sac. And my neighbors just wave to me when they see me pushing the sled back and forth, or the kids driving the sled back and forth. But if you have an HOA,
they didn't like
move.
it.
Yep.
They didn't like it. So we ended up getting a warehouse, and we grew from there. We went to his garage, warehouse. We bought the front of the warehouse. It was like about 4,000 square feet. Then went to a bigger place, 6,000 square feet, and we were in that for like the past 6 years. But yeah, just sold it after 13 years, 2 months ago.
And again, following you on social media all these years, because we met about 13 years ago, probably. Now we're right in that, and watching you grow that community goes back to, that kind of recruit story too, of how many people you were able to help get physically fit at CrossFit Burn, or just be healthier, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it was thousands, man. Some folks I still keep in contact with. They message me every now and then, but it wasn't just the fitness. You save some people's lives. Whether it's like there was stories with depression, suicide attempts, but also to marriages, kids. People found each other in the gym, got married, had kids, and now their kids come there, they bring their kids. So it was way more than just fitness. When you're a CrossFit coach, even an owner, like you become way more than just a coach, which is, it's exhausting. It drains a little bit of you, but you become their teacher, their mentor, their friend, their counselor, their dietitian. You become a little bit of everything. And that over years, it takes a toll.
And that's one of the things no one ever talks about too, because they do talk about the CrossFit community, and I can attest to it. I've been part of 4 CrossFit boxes just in my time. When I was moving and teaching, and even now I'm part of one of the largest online fitness communities, I think, in the world, with street parking, where like you see those relationships and you build those relationships. And it's so weird, because never did I think I'd get all this out of fitness. Like, did you ever think you would ever see anything like that, or be able to say like, 2 people met at my gym, now they have a family?
Yeah, it was, I didn't, plus all the stuff that it's allowed me to do. When we met, I was working for Tupu, selling belts and shorts and things like that. We used to work for Killcliff. We would sell Killcliff at events and stuff before they were massive and grew. I got to go to all kinds of events. I mean, I did a seminar with John Gilson that was awesome. I met, Kelly Starrett a couple of times. That we did seminars with him. What else did I do? I, did the World's Strongest Firefighter. Did that. I competed at the Arnold, a whole bunch of times in weightlifting, and it allowed me to do so many things that I never would have thought of.
It's so funny. The first time I met you, actually, and it could have been the day I met you, but I can't, attest to it 100%. But I actually was the first time I ever met John Gilson. We had a meeting.
Oh, really?
Yep, we had a meeting we met at maybe it was his hotel bar, and my wife was there with me, and it was to talk about, again, faster support of 555 Fitness. And it was just like, I knew nothing at the time. I knew nothing about anything at all whatsoever. Business, fitness, John Gilson, like I Googled him. Oh, cool. He owns this company. I knew what Again Faster was.
Yeah.
And we sat for like 2 hours with him. And it was just unreal. And
Was that Ohio?
no, that was Mid-Atlantics
Okay.
in Virginia.
Okay.
Virginia?
Gotcha.
Yeah, we were in
Yeah.
Virginia. But like, it's so funny, like you say that, and I'm like, man, I haven't talked to John in a while. I'm going to send
Yeah.
him a text after this and be like, dude, you just came up on my podcast. How random is that? But it's
Super
something
smart
else
dude. Holy cow.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he was such a good, such a big supporter of 555 and the emergency services and what we were doing, and also a great mentor of just like teaching me the way the fitness world works, because it is not what it looks like from the outside, is an easy way to put it, right?
Not. I
And
mean,
you've
even his
seen that
company
through
was
companies.
amazing. You know, something would happen, and you know, I know when we bought our stuff, it looked like it had gotten pushed off the back of a truck, and he was like, "Steve, don't worry about it. Keep everything. We're sending you new stuff." And I was like, "Holy shit!" You know,
Yeah, that's it.
I don't want to bash on nobody, but there's other communities and not communities, but businesses that would never do that.
Sure. To this day. And I guarantee to this day he would do the same thing type of it. And that's something too that keeps coming up as a theme of the Size Up podcast is, you know, what you're doing off the job, but then creating this amazing network. Like you said, of getting to do all those different things. You know, World's Strongest Firefighter alone. That is a network in and of itself that I'm like slowly creeping my little way into. And I mean little, like I'm going to be smaller than everyone else there for sure type of a thing. But it's so cool when you have this, and I try to impress on people. You need to get yourself out there. You need to just do what you love and keep pushing that envelope further.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, I still love CrossFit. I haven't been back in my gym since I sold it, but I still love it. I think it's a great community, a great workout, but it allowed me to see so many other avenues. Like, you know, weightlifting is my sport. I competed in weightlifting for years. And then the strongman, it allowed me to join that community. Now those guys, man, they're so freaking big, man. I just go there and sell t-shirts now. You know what I mean? they're enormous.
So World, if you're not following them, World's Strongest Firefighter on Instagram just released their events. So when this comes out, it'll be a few weeks now. But I was looking at them yesterday, and just some of the numbers. Like Marcus Wow has been on the show the other day, texted me, and he's like, little deadlift warm up with 875 or something, and I'm like, oh my god, bro! Like,
even his story is incredible. Like how he came back from surgery and then won. You know, I had surgery 2 years ago on my shoulder, and I'm still feel like I'm decrepit. You know what I mean? And this guy goes and, you know, squats 800 pounds. You know what I mean? It's insane.
It is. It's really good. And I love that end of what it is I get to do, and, you know, meeting folks like you throughout those years and just expanding that network, because you never know who you're going to meet and the experience you're going to have because of them. I mean, when we met, you were working for Tupu. So it's like, hey, how are you? You're a firefighter. Cool. Here's a t-shirt type thing. And we just kind of stayed friends. And like we said before we came on the air, it's not like we talk in those 15 years or whatever we've been friends, but we follow each other on social media, and there's a comment here or there, there's something. And it's like, even when you sold Burn, I remember reaching out to you and just being like, hey man, you okay? Like, are you okay with this? Like, I saw you sold your gym. Are you okay?
Yeah. I believe I've gotten that question so much, like, hey, how are you? You know, and it's like, as much as I loved the gym and it was a huge part of me, it was my life. When they saw me, they saw the gym, you know. But since I've sold it, honestly, I'm just the happiest I've been in probably 4 years.
Because the stress is gone, because you were a good gym owner, man. That's all that stress that you carried from, you know, worrying about your members' mental health, you know, seeing their relationships fall apart or start, or all the different things you see. And I can just speak to it from being a coach end. If I'm like, oh man, why are those two talking? They should not be talking. Like, this is not going to work out for either one of them. I know them both. Like, right, just that stuff alone I can see. And then, unfortunately, too, as an owner, you're like, oh man, if they break up, which one's going to stay at the gym? Which one's going to leave? Am I losing a member?
Every time. Or when it's a coach and a member, do you lose the coach or the member, or do you lose both?
Yeah. And like that kind of stress is called being a good business owner, and it all fits. So it totally makes sense to say, like, you know, really hard to sell. Way less stress in your life.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, if I'm at the firehouse and I have to pull overtime, you know, which happens all the time, you know, now I have to find somebody to cover the classes. And if I can't cover the classes, I got to close. Or if I want to go on vacation, you know, I have to make sure all the classes are covered, or I don't go on vacation. You know what I mean? It's just that stress is no longer there, and it's awesome.
I feel like it's the same as retiring from the fire service. As much
Hmm.
as I'm not gonna not want to do it when it happens, but then that stress is gonna be gone the next day.
Oh yeah.
Like when I wake
Hmm.
up and know that like, no, I don't have to go back there and have that level of what is gonna happen at work, the same type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially now, like the higher you get, you have people that you're accountable for, and you have to worry about them and make sure they're doing everything. And uh, yeah, once you don't have to think about that anymore, it'll be nice.
I hope so. I'm really hoping so. That's my plan at least. Like I just made an announcement the other day that I'm like totally when I retire, I'm going back into marathon training.
Oh,
Because I think I need something to just make sure that I'm doing something all the time. And I ran a marathon before. I can train for it. Why not go do that? Because it'll at least get me out of the house a couple hours every day.
dude, I trained for it one time. It was terrible. Luckily, I got to the point I was training for the New York City Marathon. This is years ago, before CrossFit, and I guess that's a lottery, and we didn't get in,
Yeah.
so it stopped. I'm done.
I lost the
Hated it.
lottery. I lost the lottery for 3 years.
Really?
And then after your third year, you automatically get in.
Oh, okay.
And so I automatically got in. And then it was Hurricane Sandy. And like I had worked for like 7 days. It was just actually, so it just happened. I worked for like 7 days straight. And the marathon was supposed to be in 2 days. And I was like, there's no way. I am so no,
Oh,
just everything was shot, man. And I was
damn.
cruising, dude. I did my 25 miler. My training was on point. My nutrition was on point. My people were on point, like where
Yep.
everyone was going to be stationed with what I needed. I didn't.
Yeah, because
So
it takes a crew of folks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I didn't have that. I ran the Disney marathon. I had my
Okay.
pregnant wife, my sister, and my brother-in-law, thinking, no big deal. And then it snowed in Disney, and it was miserable, and the entire thing was horrible. And I finished, and we just ended at that. It was
Yeah,
snow in Orlando is not good. I'll advise anyone of that.
no. That's. I don't think I'll ever do that again. I don't. I won't say never, but as of right now, nah. No, thank you.
I'm good. So what are you gonna do now that you've sold the gym and you're, just what's the plan?
I don't know. My wife already told me I have to find something to do with all my time because I'm home too much. But
That's a great wife right there. That is a good wife.
I don't
She
know
knows.
what I want to do yet. I don't think I'll own another business, not yet, anyways. I do have to get back into some kind of training. I worked out with my crew the other day, and it felt really good to work out with them. I got a couple injuries I'm still trying to fix. But my goal is honestly to get back to weightlifting, get back to nationals and the Arnold and things like that. Because I love it. That's my sport.
Now you got the time to train, so you got that going for you.
Absolutely.
Nice,
as long
man.
as the body holds up.
That's the other problem too, right? We're like right now, like as I'm getting towards the end of my career, I'm like, I just want my body to hold up for these last few years. Like I've been knock on whatever, like really okay with most things.
Well, that and like the sport I pick is probably one of the most physically demanding sports there is, as far as flexibility and strength and stability. If you can't lift your arms over your head, you can't really snatch or clean and jerk. So
it doesn't work for you, no, not at all.
No.
It's funny. I help my dad. My dad's 86, 86 now, and so he's still really good. He's moving around and everything. He was a firefighter and he was an auto mechanic. And he's complaining about like his body hurting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, you did two of the most physically demanding jobs in the world your entire life. Never worked out, never stretched, never did anything aside from that.
Yeah.
I'm like, your body's doing great for 86. I'm like, it hurts my knees when I stand up right now, and I'm half your age.
Yep. It's my back, my knees, my shoulders. With all the fire service plus training and weightlifting, strongman, all that stuff, and then all the time in the Marine Corps too. It adds up. You train hard enough, long enough, you're going to get hurt.
There's just no two ways about it. It's just right now it's more injury prevention. Like when you're younger, it's just go. When you were that young Marine, you weren't doing any injury prevention. You were just going. Now it's like,
no,
how am I going to lift this up? Like I got to pick up those spreaders all by myself. Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Luckily, you got guys to do that now.
Yeah, but I still do it, man.
Dude,
I'm not even kidding you. I had the white shirt on. We were having an issue with the hydraulic tools or something, and I grabbed the one, or like I went to move it, and it rubbed across the shirt, and they're like, "Oh, look what you just did," and I'm like, "Mother." Like, why did I do that? Why? Like, and all of them were there. They all would have done it, but I just did
Yep.
it because that's what I'm used to doing, right?
Yep.
Now I'm like, shit, taking my shirt off. I'm like scrubbing it. I'm going to my locker. I'm like, I gotta wash this thing now. So
Yep.
those lessons are, I'm stubborn. I get hit in the face with things. That one taught me a lot. Now
Yeah, that
I'm
white
like, I'm
shirt
not
gets dirty.
touching that. The white shirt is on. I can't get dirty. I'll still do
Yeah.
it though. I'm still stubborn.
Yep. Same up. I'll grab the hose or a tool or something in a heartbeat. It's like, give me that. Let me show you.
100%. There's just no,
Yep.
even like being on the ladder. There's like I have the marks on my turnout coat from walking out hose. Someone's like, "How'd you get that?" I'm like, "I don't know. The last fire, I was walking out hose."
Yep.
They're like, "Bro, you're the ladder captain." I'm like, "But the hose had to get walked out." Like, I'm not. I
Yep.
like
I'll
that
do
part of
something
the
all the
job.
time. And the guys will be like, Cap, what about your back? Just hold on a second. Like, leave me alone.
Especially if you say it that way. What about my back? Shut up,
Yeah.
man. I'm fine. My
Yep.
back is fine.
Yep. They get me all the time.
It's such a good learning lesson too for yourself and for them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right. My back. Thanks for caring.
Yep.
Steve, man, this has been awesome. I'm glad we finally did this. We've been talking about it for a while, but it seemed like, again, timing was right. You had a lot of things happen recently, and
Sure.
we were able to kind of convey them in this episode.
Yeah, it was a good talk, man.
That is awesome. So where can the folks, I know you don't do too much online anymore, but do you want to point them towards your CrossFit box if they're ever in the New Bern area that you don't own anymore? Because I know you still have love for it.
Yeah, I love it. The two people that bought it were two coaches. One of the coaches has been with me, I think 11 or 12 years. She was with me for, she's actually a level 3 now. So it's super cool. There's not many of those. It's actually pretty hard to get that. Another one of the other guy, Eric. So that's Andrea and Eric. Does a lot of the weightlifting. He won Masters Nationals last year. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, the gym's still open. Still talk to them every day. I send people there all the time. Actually, you're wearing the shirt right now.
Got the shirt on, CrossFit Bern.
Still love them. Yep,
in New Bern, North Carolina, right?
Facebook, everywhere. Yep.
New Bern, North Carolina?
BURN. So yeah,
gym.
we're in New Bern, but it's BURN because I'm a firefighter. But actually, CrossFit Bern is in Switzerland, so we had to use the BURN. Mm-hmm.
So that was a business challenge, I'm sure, for a little bit of at least it's Switzerland, not like it was in Chicago.
Yeah, so that's those are the folks that actually founded New Bern. So it's pretty cool. I talked to them initially when we opened up the gym and stuff. They're really cool people.
That's such an awesome little story too. And on a total side note, both of our department issues are NBFD. So we were always in the beginning, oh, that's cool. Always cool when you see something like that, right out there.
Yeah. Yeah, so we actually just got some new gear. Like I said, we got a new chief and stuff, and we have a new scramble for the hats and everything. And I need to see what yours looks like compared to ours because it's still NBFD.
Yeah, our scramble's rough though, man. We switched. So we used to be NBFD on the back of our shirts, and then we went to New Brunswick Fire, and I feel like the New Brunswick Fire looks way better than the NBFD did. I don't know, just my own personal thing.
Gotcha.
It's always funny when you find that. So are you ready for the size up 10 as we get to this hour mark here? 10 questions that never go quickly. Oh, see, this is a good one for you again. Beach or mountains? Which one do you prefer?
Beach. I got a boat, and we go out all the time. I love the beach.
Yes. And they're nice down there in North Carolina, so very, very expansive. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, love it.
How about a night out or a night in?
In. I love being home, with my wife and kids, and it's way cheaper. I can have a glass of bourbon that don't cost me $20.
It's definitely way cheaper.
What's that?
Definitely way cheaper. I'll go with that for sure.
Oh yeah.
How about a movie that everyone should watch?
I'm a huge fan of old stuff. I love old movies. Maybe that's part of my the way my brain works, but I can watch Tommy Boy 400 times.
Who can't?
I love it.
I mean, literally, who can't watch Tommy Boy? But see, you said old movies, so that I'm like, is he gonna go 60s or 50s, a Gene Kelly type movie, or and Tommy Boy old? I'm like, it's not that old, man. I was in high school when that came out.
Anything 80s.
I'm in. All right, here's the hardest question I ask. If you're on a cross-country road trip, who is your celebrity co-pilot going to be?
Celebrity co-pilot. I would have to say, honestly, only because I met him and it was an awesome opportunity, but Arnold would be so cool to cross the road, the country with. So during the first time I competed at World's Strongest Firefighter, he brought everybody to his house and, fed us and had drinks right in his house. And he sat there with us and talked to us. And he was a cool dude, man. And he was actually super funny. There was one time where all the strongmen were up on his stairs, right? And they're taking a big old picture. And he's like, all right, let's come down, get the firefighters. And Noah was his assistant, and he couldn't find him. And he's yelling for him. He's like, Noah, get the firefighters, bring them in here, And it was like the funniest Arnold moment because he knows who he is, you know what I mean? And his like how people respond to him, and it was just a super funny joke. But I would say him, yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I told the guys from the World's Strongest Firefighter they couldn't pick him to be on their road trip. They had to pick someone else. So you're actually the first person to pick him. And as my aura is circling around my possibility of finally meeting this person I've idolized my whole life and heard so much about, I'm like, this is unbelievable that he is just that person that everyone is telling me he is.
Yeah. Yep. He loves to make Arnold jokes. You know what I mean? So he's just really funny. Actually, a buddy of mine, so I have a picture with Arnold in his kitchen, and he put the pictures of me and Arnold and Danny DeVito and Arnold next to each other. And I sent it to Noah, and I was like, man, I think Arnold will get a kick out of this. And he laughed. He thought it was hilarious. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't. It's just, and I watched his documentary. I've listened to his audiobook too, all before these things were even circling, let's say. And from now talking to people who actually work with him and know him, it just seems like he's that guy, like you just described. John says he counted his reps at the first World's Strongest Firefighter. Like, who gets to say that?
Yeah, it is. And again, he is like a super super chill dude. I mean, the first time we were on the pier in Santa Monica, and I'm lifting and stuff. I think I was deadlifting, and he's like, "Come on, Steven, you can do it." I'm like, "Holy shit, he's talking to me."
That's me. Is that my name? I would be like, "Is that my name? Did he just say my name?"
Crazy.
Such a good sporting moment in anyone's life, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that you have that.
That was like the other one I was lifting. I think I was deadlifting too, at the Arnold for the World's Strongest Firefighter, and Martins is sitting in the front row, and the deadlift was a huge PR for me. I'm not as big I'm little compared to these guys. So I deadlifted it one time. I put it down. I smiled. I lifted it. It was like a 30 or 40 pound PR for me. And Martin's like, yeah, do it again. I was like, no, I about broke my back, but I ain't doing it again.
No, sorry. You're not good. There's no amped up I could be for that one again. So
no, you got one. You're good.
So listen, everybody listening to, you all know I've talked about it a few times, but make sure come March you're watching that World's Strongest Firefighter competition. We'll have it on the site and everything for you to see, because it is definitely going to be an experience, and I'm excited to play a very small role in it this year. So
the coolest part about it, man, is those guys are all active duty firefighters.
Yeah.
And they're enormous. They're obviously not going through a window or nothing like that. They probably go through the wall, but they're huge.
They're not confined space specialists, I would say, like I am.
Yeah.
That was one of the jokes too, is people are like, Pip, you're going to interview these guys? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bring a step stool. I was like, it may help me out a little bit, because
yeah, there's a couple pictures out there of me standing with everybody else when I competed, and it's all these huge guys and then me,
Well, don't worry, I'll be there this year. So you got me by a little. So where are we at here? All right, number 5. Do you make your bed every day there, Marine?
No.
No. Most people that were in the military say no at this point.
No.
Everybody else says yes.
Yep, just gonna mess it up again.
Yep, I gotcha. How about a book everybody needs to read?
I would say one of the best books I ever read was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's an older book. I think it's from the 60s. But it talks about not actually getting rich, but investing your time and energy in things, and finding that burning white hot passion for something and letting that guide you to where you need to be. It's a great book. Oh shit, did I lose you?
For a second, you were saying finding the burning white hot passion and letting that, and that's where I lost you.
Yeah, letting that guide you. So it's a great book, and it's very short. Bro, it's an audiobook you can read in a couple hours.
You followed that to the T, I feel like, and everything we've talked about for an hour. Like that's been your life story there. So that's awesome. Good stuff. Which one are you taking, highways or back roads?
Where am I going?
Boston. Which one are you taking?
Yeah, Boston highways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. The mountains of North Carolina, back roads, I would imagine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Love it. How about a bucket list place you want to visit?
Bucket list place. I would say I've been there already, but Norway. So I went there on deployment and I didn't get to do like much, but I'd
Yeah,
love to go back. That is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life.
it is on my list for sure. So maybe someday. Which one are you watching? Football or football?
Football.
Nice and easy to the point.
Yeah, not as
Last
much
one.
since Brady's not there anymore, but yeah, I still watch it every
Oh
now and then.
man, so you stuck with those guys your whole life? You can't.
Yeah, whole life until he went to Tampa Bay. Then I became a Tampa Bay fan.
Oh, it's then whatever. I have one more question. I don't want to
Yeah,
talk about this anymore. We may not talk anymore after hearing that. Like you left your team to follow him. Like whatever. Don't worry. I'm a disgruntled Giants fan. If
oh,
Daniel
it's
Jones,
okay. Yeah.
if Daniel Jones threw 582 touchdowns the other night, he would be the leading touchdown passer.
hmm
Last question. Best advice you could give to your younger self?
Hmm. I would say so. A friend of mine that told me to read that book. His name's Eric Konovalov. He was in the Marines with me. He worked. He did a lot of motivational stuff once he got out of the Marines. He wrote his own book, things like that. And I was having some trouble, with the gym after the first few years, and I went to him just asking for guidance, just mentorship and business stuff. And he's like, Steve, if you don't invest in you, nobody else will either. So that's what I would say.
I love it, man. That is such a great way to end this too, because I feel like that's what we've been talking about this whole episode is investing in you.
Yeah.
But by you investing in you, you're helping other people the whole time in all the aspects of your life, man. So this has been a great conversation.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I try to tell my guys, all the time, like, you get those guys in the fire service that don't want to promote things like that. They love being in the back seat, this and that. And like, they don't get their stuff that they need to get promoted. And it's like, guys, I don't care if you don't ever want to be promoted. You want to ride in the back seat, great. But you better be the best fucking firefighter on this planet. Same with being a driver. You don't want to promote, you don't want to be a driver? Fine. But be the best driver you can be, and
For
that
sure.
goes by with investing in yourself and taking classes and things like that. Don't stop just because you don't want to promote. That's silly,
Yeah, you have to keep that learning. Like, and it's just constant, especially in our careers, because everything is changing. Like I said, like
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for flooding events, and my department still is not 100% prepared, but we're way better than we were when I got hired because we've
Right.
had way more of them, and we're really trying to push the ball forward to take those next steps to make it happen. But we're all investing in ourselves and we're investing in the future.
Yep.
And then you get to that point where that's what it's all about. Same as being a coach, man. I'm invested in you. Whether
Mhm.
you like, that was one of my favorite coaching lines. I'm like, whether you like it or not, for the next hour, I'm invested in you, and
Yeah.
we're gonna make you better. One way or another, we're gonna do it.
Yeah. 1% better every day.
That's it, man. That is the way to go. I have so many titles for this one that like I have like almost a page written down to decide what I'm gonna go with here. But again, man, thank you so much. I'm so glad we did this. So glad you took the time out of your day. I know you got a lot going on today, so thanks for that
This
too.
is fun, man. As we're talking, I'm looking at the clock. I was like, dude, this is gonna take like 2 hours. Like we're having good conversation. We
I
can
really
pick any
like
one of those topics and go on for a while.
and go on forever, right? And
Yeah.
I really feel like too soon we're getting close to 100 episodes. I really feel like I'm gonna just start bringing people back
That'd be
because
cool.
I do like keeping it to this hour because I feel like the hour works as opposed to the long form one that a lot of people do. But I feel like now I can go back and pick like 3 things and be like, Steve, let's go. We're gonna go on these 3 today. So
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. Like I would love to listen to Joe Rogan every day, but I don't have 4 hours on my day. So like
yeah,
a buddy will listen, and I'm like, hey, give me Cliff Notes, but I'm not listening to it.
give me what you got. I need the clips. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like the kids today on TikTok. They just watch it on TikTok and be like,
Yeah.
here you go. This is what he said in 20 seconds. He's in.
And that's what I
So-
watch. I do the same thing. I'll just watch the clips.
Awesome, man. Well, there'll be some clips of you now to go along with that.
Cool.
So,
Very
Steve,
cool.
man, thanks for joining me today. It was a great talk. We got to catch up, and I'm so stoked to see you at World's Strongest Firefighter for sure when we're out there. I'm sure if you're going.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll be at the booth selling shirts. I just talked to Noah a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I'll be there. My family will be there. My son's been with me the past few years, and they're talking about. You said something earlier about your son, but like I'm 5'6". My son's 6'2".
Yeah.
So you'll see him when he comes with
You're
me.
in right there. He fits in
Yeah.
with all the other guys. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why I married a taller woman so that my kids would have a chance at life. That's literally
Plus,
that's it.
Me and my wife are both short, so like
You don't even know.
everybody in our family is huge except for me and her.
and then you got him. So that's a
Yeah.
win too. So
Yeah.
awesome, man. Well, as always, guys, thanks everybody for tuning in, man. This has been a great episode. You know, check out the Original Mustache Club too. Check out his episode. It's you think I'd have this more prepared, but it's around the number 50s or so where we talk a lot about mustaches and different things like that. So this is Pip for the Size Up by National Fire Radio, because what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.